All right, welcome Lifestyle Warriors to our team call tonight. We are at the beginning section, or coming towards the middle really, of our GoPro series. So we love this book, GoPro by Eric Worre. It's 7 steps to becoming a network marketing professional. And in our team page, I actually posted the playlist for it because I think it's something that people can continue to come back to continue developing their skills. And as we're sharing Zija with our new team members, they're going to want to learn these skills as well. So it's going to be a great resource for us to plug people into. But today we are up to skill number 3. We've been having some guest hosting, which I absolutely love. Our team is really stepping into its leadership, and we have so many incredible people stepping up and training and just pouring their heart and soul into helping every single person on our team succeed. So in a hot second, I am going to introduce our host for today's call. Just a couple of housekeeping things. If you haven't already booked your ticket for Summit next weekend, make sure you do that. It's an online summit if you aren't able to get to my house in Perth. Either way, it's $25. So if you're in Perth, on Sunday the 21st is our summit event right here at my home. Or you can get your $25 online broadcast ticket, which will have you watching live, but you'll also be able to watch the replay as well. Major announcements are going to be announced, obviously, in regards to our comp plan, upgrades to the comp plan, incentive trip, sprints, just a whole lot of awesome stuff that you are going to want to know. So go into our team page, Lifestyle Warriors. In the search bar, just type in the word Summit. It's the first post that pops up. It's the link to order your ticket. And I'm so excited. Myself, Lisa and Terry, who are all on the Leadership Council for Australia, New Zealand, Zija International, we'll actually be going through all of the information that we're training on Thursday with corporate in preparation for that event on Sunday. So we are super excited. So I just wanted to touch on that because it's getting closer. And this is our last Zoom that we're having before that event. So I wanted to make sure we got that out of the way. But today's topic of skill 3 is presenting your product or opportunity to your prospects. And one of my favorite people, you guys are all my favorite people. My team is my family, and literally some of them actually are legitimate family members. But I feel like every single one of you is a part of my family. James, I and the kids talk about all of you every single day. You're in my gratitude journal every single morning. And this lovely lady who is our guest host tonight, it's weird that she only came into my life less than 2 years ago. It's crazy because I feel like I've known her for a long time. And it was through this skill that we really met. We live on the opposite side of the country. We connected on Facebook. And so I can't think of anyone better to train on this skill than the incredible Pen Angus from the Gold Coast in Australia. So Pen, I'm going to hand the call over to you.
Thank you, Belle. That was a very special introduction. And firstly, I so wish I could be with you there all on Sunday. Super grateful to be able to dial in and be part of your backyard summit from the Gold Coast. So it'll feel like I'm there, I'm sure. So yes, I'm going to discuss or just give you my takeaways on presenting your product and opportunity to your prospects. So the way that I've done it over the last week, so when I approached Belle and said, can I do it? I've listened to the audio 3 or 4 times, and each time I've taken notes. And that way I've kind of uncovered a few extra things as I've gone on. So the first point that stuck out for me is that you are not the issue. and there's no need to become an expert. So the problem with becoming an expert is if somebody asks you something that you do not know and you respond as such, you actually lose that authenticity and looking like you are the expert, and people become skeptic of that. So you create a seed of doubt. And so you may get stumped. And sometimes when you're prospecting to people, they actually know you're not an expert. So you're kind of presenting yourself as something that you're not. So one thing I did notice from the 3 skills that we've visited so far is that duplication is a common thread through all of them. So if you present yourself as an expert, or if you actually do become an expert, what you're doing to anybody that you invite into your business is saying to them, you too have to become an expert. Because if you're to duplicate my success or how I present things, then you have to too become an expert. And that's putting a lot of pressure on somebody that may not have the ability or the will or desire to become an expert. So a big thing, duplication, you no need to become an expert. The second thing is that he notes that successful distributors act like a consultant. So when I was listening to this, what I saw was, I don't know if you guys can relate, but in the old days, they used to have a reception board, and the receptionist used to take the incoming call, pull the plug out, put the plug in, and like a connector. And I feel that that's kind of like our job. We take the incoming call of the pain point, we take it in, we listen, and then we connect it on to the right next provision of information, I guess. So whether it be a tool, a third-party tool, an event, another distributor that has other information, that's our role. We're like the bridge, we're like the connector. So we are putting them, we don't provide the information, although we may have that skill, but we are connecting them to a third-party tool. So I think that's kind of important to look at us as like the telephonist. Plug it in, plug it out, put it somewhere else. So yeah, and that's all linked to duplication. That is very easy for somebody to come on board into your team and duplicate that. That's easy for them to just pass on, this is what this person needs, this is what this person requires, how or where do I send that to? Okay, third-party resource, yeah. So then he talks about then in the presenting side of obviously coming with passion, and I feel like all of our team have that passion for our products and our businesses, and I guess you have to become comfortable with being uncomfortable with public speaking. So it's really important, because people are drawn and connected to your story, that you do actually need to become comfortable with telling your story. And that is making your story interesting, creating your background, so where you were, what you were suffering, what your pain points were, and things that you disliked at that point prior to being introduced to the business. Then how the business solved that for you. So whether it was a financial solution going into the business, whether it was a health solution going into the business, how did the business coming into your life make that a big difference? And then your results. So that's part of your, I guess, inviting people in to hear more, to go onto that third-party tool. And then, like it said, like I put in the post earlier, if somebody, so when you're talking or presenting, or whether they're listening to the tools or attending an event, if they can actually picture themselves in that business or in your business, or picture themselves having results with your products, then that is a success. That's where you want them to be. So you don't want to be in that picture. You want to put yourself aside, and you want to be able to have them see themselves as part of it. Then he talks about becoming a presenter, which I know for all of us can be absolutely terrifying, but it's all about practice. Practice makes perfect. Preparation is key. And I think that anyone that's had success in anything, those tools are really, really important. And just let it become a habit. So he talks about how he goes into a presentation. He actually wrote the script down, and he says he practiced over 500 times. So very, very committed, obviously. But what that does do is build confidence. It builds confidence in your knowledge, in your ability, how you're going to come forth to other people when they're hearing your story. And so part of his presentation is learning your story, obviously what we talked about before. Learning the opportunity, whether it's the products or the business, and then learning different presentations from the business. So a bit like what we're doing now, this is a different kind of presentation, but it's all about building your confidence and getting your skill level up. So, I mean, that's short and sweet from me, and I know that Jude and Linda and Sharon and I talked about, if anyone's listened to the Audible, he actually does a presentation. So if you're happy for me to play that, Belle, are you still happy for me to do that? And then we can maybe go to questions afterwards. Yeah. So this is Eric Worre. I think it's 1979 or something like, no, 1993, where he does his first speech to thousands and thousands of people. And it's all about joining the revolution. So I'll play a little bit so you can get inspired, and then we'll go to questions.
I started to prepare like my life hung in the balance. I chose a theme. I wrote my talk, and I rewrote it over and over. I did research. I practiced. I recorded myself doing the speech. I did everything I could possibly do. When the day came, I'd never felt so nervous in my entire life. Talking to 14,000 people is like talking to an ocean, but my preparation served me well. I steadied my 29-year-old insecure self and delivered. The response was overwhelming. The crowd went wild, literally. I felt numb when I walked off the stage as they were still cheering, and sat there while the top earner gave his speech. He did a fine job, but I have to admit to you, it felt so good to have the CEO come up and congratulate me for winning our private little contest. It was definitely a defining moment. That speech was lost for a very long time, but a copy was recently discovered. If you'd like to hear it, we'll include it at the end of this chapter. My voice sounds quite a bit younger, but it's still me. To summarize this skill set, remember a few important things. 1, when you're prospecting, you're the messenger, not the message. Get yourself out of the way and use a third-party tool. 2, learn to tell stories in a way that will make your prospects curious to hear more. And 3, when it comes to presenting in front of a group of people, preparation is key. When you're prepared, it's fun. And as promised, here's my speech talking in front of 14,000 people as a 29-year-old young man. Over 200 years ago, there was a revolution, an American Revolution, an event that literally changed the course of history. It was led by a group of unsatisfied people. People were tired of being told what they could do and when they could do it. People were fed up with their lack of choices and their lack of personal freedoms. People fed up with their lives being controlled by others. Fed up with being oppressed, fed up with being manipulated. They finally said, enough, I've had it, and I'm not going to live like this anymore. Our ancestors were people that took full responsibility for what happened to them. It was that spirit that ignited a country and formed what is now a giant in the free world. I have a question for you. Where's that spirit today? It's time for another revolution. Let me explain one of the laws of the universe. It's called the law of use. And it says simply this: whatever you don't use, you lose. Lack of use causes loss. Ambition unused declines. Faith unused decreases. If you don't use your skills, you lose your skills.
you don't use your freedom, you lose your freedom. Freedom does not come automatically. It's not attained and then handed down to us as an inheritance. It must be achieved each day. At the turn of the century, in the year 1900, less than 10% of us worked for other people or the government. Over 90% of us were self-employed. We were an independent people. In 1980, only 80 years later, over 90% of us worked for the other people or the government. Less than 10% of us were self-employed. We changed from an independent people to a dependent people. We slowly shifted from a people who took full responsibility for everything that happened to them to a people who become talented and practiced at the art of blaming others for their problems.
Okay, we'll stop it there. But I'll put the link in, or Belle will, or someone will, so that you can hear the rest of it. It's very inspirational. So that's it for me. I just wondered if anyone else wanted to come out and give their takeaways from reading skill number 3. No?
I will then. I was waiting for somebody else to jump on.
Go on, Shaz.
Come on, guys. Come on, guys. We're all in this together. Let's have a look. Okay. Yeah, I mean, I wrote so many notes again this afternoon. I've got notes after. I think I wrote the whole speech down in the end. Oh, stop like this. The speech is absolutely fabulous. And one thing I will say from that is there is no nobler business than the business of encouraging people. And that is a real big thing. A real big thing for me. So, you know, and then he goes on about the dignity of choice and stuff. But I think he brought it back to me as well about working on my own story. I'm really terrible. I hate talking about myself. So I'll talk about you lot, but I can't talk about myself. But yeah, so, you know, actually getting it down to a real tight story that you just repeat over and over again. So people, well, actually like listening to you at the beginning of it. And I love the thing, these like, when he does the summary, it's when you're prospecting, you're the messenger, not the message, which goes and takes in that, you know, you don't have to be an expert. I mean, you learn a lot of things as you go along. It doesn't make you an expert. I love saying, oh, I don't know, I'll find out for you. I love saying that. And it says, you know, and to get yourself out the way and to use third-party tools. I'm very bad at that. Because I don't ask for help for anything, let alone someone close for me, you know, and learning stories, you know, that we want your prospects to know more about what you've got to say. So, you know, I can tell you stories of all the girls that have used the products and either lost weight or, you know, had better symptoms. And when it comes, yeah, preparation. Preparation is a big thing, especially talking in front of people. I'm terrible at it. But I think doing these chapter by chapter that we are has made me prepare for the Zoom better to have something to say. Now I'm going to let someone else say something.
Awesome, Shaz. Thanks for sharing. Jude, did you want to say something?
I think for me it was the duplication, but the other thing, the main thing was your story. Really, yeah, and that takes a bit of thinking rather than just whatever off the top of your head. What is it about the product that has helped you, or why did you get into it, or why do you like the business, or what really is it? And I guess to a certain extent that can chop and change with wherever you're at, but it's just getting that right. And then I think the other two things were you're not the issue, get out of the way, and the duplication. They were the three things that I really, picked up on and have written all over the book.
Awesome. I think that's great, Jude. And yeah, that common thread of duplication. I think back to when I watched Belinda's presentation, her Facebook Live, and to this day, it spoke to me. So when I actually connected with Belinda and said that I'm interested, I had learnt her story, I had learnt her results, but then she had this wonderful way of filling my pain point or identifying what I needed. So included that in part of her previous presentation. And that's why I took off to Utah 5 weeks later, because there was just that connection. And that to me is a successful presentation. And I was drawn to it. It was just a natural thing. So yeah, and I personally feel like that I could duplicate that. That was not difficult. That was like a really 3-part process, and it was very much geared up to what I was after. So does anyone else want to come on and say anything? Bronwyn or Carolyn? Lisa?
The preparation, I'm not good at that. And, you know, it's sort of something that I've been thinking about for a while. You know, I must sort of decide, you know, if I'm going to be doing something, sort of how I prepare for it, make some notes, sort of rehearse it, I guess, and like exactly what he says in here. And I would like to go through and not change my story, but sort of just wording and everything like that. But yeah, there was a lot in it, but it's very simple, and just, you know, get out of your own way, as everybody says. Yeah,
exactly. And yeah, it is simple. I think we might tend to overcomplicate it, Bronwyn, but I think you're right. It is really simple. We're just the connector of the dots, really.
Actually, as humans, we like to make things hard, really. And when you think about it logically, it doesn't have to be.
No, that's very true. That's very true. Anyone else want to jump out and share?
I was just going to say, what a fantastic presentation you've done. I'm sorry, I have been listening in the background. I've been going since 5 this morning, so I'm just doing some catch up, but I just really enjoyed the way that you delivered the content. And isn't it weird when you're on this thing, like you're up on the top right hand corner for me, but I think for everyone else, everyone's in a different position. And you tend to look at the person where they are, so you're on the top right hand corner. So
and you always look like you're looking in the wrong direction.
I don't know whether I guess you do teaching as part of your job or something, but yeah, you just
yeah, I do coaching, and I do talk in front of a lot of people constantly. So yeah. I do have skill, but that sort of puts into the same thing that practice makes perfect, because when I first started, I was horrendous and shaking in the knees. So I guess it's just a learnt skill.
Yeah, so that was all I was going to say. I just learned a lot from what you delivered, so thank you.
Thank you, Lisa. How about you, Colin?
Yeah, very good, Pen. Very good presentation. I haven't listened to Eric Worre's podcast, but I've read the book. Well, I'm in the process of reading it for the 4th time over the last 2 years. So it is very good. Every time I read it, I learn something new.
Yeah.
Duplication is definitely a big thing, and that's something I find hard to do for some reason. I don't know why, but if you can duplicate, it does make it simple. I'm quite happy to tell people my story, but it's not much of a story, and it doesn't go for very long. I just think it's boring to me. I just wonder if it's boring to other people. But I think that is a good way to sort of get into or let your prospects know. And the other thing I struggle with a little bit sometimes is identifying their pain point. Especially in early stages, trying to work out, are they keen on the business, or wonder what product would be a good one to kick them off with or get them started on. Yeah, I find that sometimes it sticks right out at you, and you know straight away, oh, yeah, I know what you need. And lately, well, on the weekend, I had one lady come to me and wants Supermix. She's got a friend that's using it, and it was all too easy. And I thought, well, why couldn't all my prospects be like that? They come to me asking me for product, but you know, that doesn't happen very often.
Yeah, that's a perfect world, I think.
Oh, I couldn't believe it. It was just so easy, and she wanted to rush into it, and I basically had to do the opposite of what we're taught to do. I had to basically slow her down and say, well, you know, try it first and make sure it tastes all right and it's going to help you, and blah blah. Yeah, she's only been on Supmix for 2 days, and I'm going to sign her up anyway because that's what she wants. So
Fabulous.
Oh, but I can't believe how easy it was. Too easy. But it tends to make you a little bit. I don't know what the right word is, but oh yeah, I've got this. This is easy. But the next prospect is going to probably be twice as hard. It'll make me pay for it.
Yeah, I think I'm not sure what advice you know, Lisa or the others would give you, but possibly asking open-ended questions might help with uncovering people's pain point, and just listening. People will tell you. It's just kind of sitting there and listening to what they're saying.
Yeah.
Good input. Thank you, Colin. Appreciate it.
Yeah, and I like your dog too.
I've got one snoring over there and one lying behind me, so sorry, everyone.
He looked a bit bored at one stage, but then he got up and started moving.
He was upside down for a while.
That's what I was laughing at earlier on. It wasn't you, Pen, it was your dog.
Normally it's me, so okay, it's good that it's the dog. It's always fun in our house.
That's good.
Awesome. Thank you, Colin, and congratulations on your customer. That's great news.
Yeah, thanks.
Hi, Pen. Just wanted to
Hi,
say
Rob.
thanks.
How you doing?
I've been listening. I just haven't been on video. But just wanted to say, yeah, thank you. I love that you're so succinct in what you say, and just, you know, some of the points that I'd gone through, I'm going, you know, I didn't get that same thing out of it. So I've written a page of notes, and yeah, no, it's always good to hear someone else give you the story that they get from the book. And so fantastic.
Awesome. Thank you. That's so true, because everyone's perspective is different, right, from where they're coming from. So that's a really good point. That's why it's good that we all do, you know, different parts of it to get different perspectives. So
awesome. Thanks,
Rob. Carolyn, did you want to jump on?
Sure. I think it was kind of nice to hear that everybody else has trouble with their story. And so I feel like we're kind of all in the same boat here, and it's kind of nice, I think, to know that you're not alone when you feel like you're not really sure how to put your story out there. You've got a story. How do you put it in a nutshell? How do you make it interesting? How do you work it in to project it in a way that's going to help you with your business, and all of those things going on in our head. And I think Jude, you know, she said you need to think about it, and you do actually, what it is that's brought you here and why it's important to you. So yeah, thank you. It was really helpful and I enjoyed it, and your dog was hilarious. He was lying on the lounge behind you with his legs in the air.
I think her name's Millie, and she's going to do Millie's Miracle Minutes. She's going to do her own live presentations.
So funny.
Oh.
Anyway, thank you very much. It was,
You're
I
welcome.
really learned a lot and wrote lots of notes, and really pleased that I could be part of this. So thank you.
Oh, we're so grateful to have you on board, and congratulations on having your first customers. That's very exciting.
Thank you. That's great. Thanks so much.
And just a little tip for you that when we were in Summit, I think 2 years ago, David Moses, who is the, I'll let Belinda tell you, I think he's #1 income earner in the company. He has a great training session on your story, on how to prepare your story. And I think it's either like 2.5 minutes or 5 minutes max that he says you should be able to get out all of your information and cover everything. So I'll see if I can find that training session. It might be somewhere on the Zige and International platform, and share it, because it's actually really, really good. Makes it very simple. So, all right. So what I wanted to do at the end of this, we have got 4 more skills left to go. I know Sharon wants to do one of them, whether she wants to do the next one, but I'm actually putting a call to action for the rest of the team to jump on, be brave, step outside your comfort zone and do a presentation of one of the skills. So if you are interested in doing that, let Belinda know, and she might give you some guidance on how to do it, or what to do it, or what to say. And that's it for me. Thank you for listening and watching my dog, and I'll see you soon. Over to you.
Ben, you did so amazing. So thank you so much. Everything that you said, like as you were talking, I was going through the chapter to see what I highlighted, and you'd say something, I'm like, yeah. Pen's already said that highlighted bit. She's already said that highlighted bit. She's already said that highlighted bit. So it was as if we got the same points out of it. One of the other things that I love that he says in this chapter is it's passion, enthusiasm, excitement, and belief. That's our priority. I know for a fact that if that video that I did, Pen, that you saw that very first time, if I was saying, oh, yeah, you know, it's okay, and you know, it's sort of fun, and I enjoy myself sometimes. Like, no one wants to sign up for mediocre, right? It is our job to have everybody that is watching what we're doing want what we have. And sometimes you can feel like an idiot, feeling like you're overexcited and over happy about it, but for it to transition onto camera and then to the other person, you really have to be you times 2 so that it comes across as if you're sitting in the room with that person. So although it's scary sometimes sharing your story, the more excited you are about it, the better it's going to come across, and the more people are actually going to be a part of what you're doing. If you do a video and say, oh, I'm so scared to do this, like I can't, like I just want to get it quickly over and done with, and you're like, you know, just monotone and blah, 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 like no one's going to want to join you. I remember Sharon, she was so scared to do her first video, but she still came across happy and excited, even though I knew she was terrified, and she just wanted the whole video to just shut down accidentally so she could get out of it. She still did it and still had that enthusiasm, and now I think it was a year later, it has over 1,000 views on that video. So people are still watching it now because she put that enthusiasm across. So that was one of my favorite things about this chapter. Colin, something that you said is not knowing how to find people's pain points. Pat Anderson is a Diamond Elite in Zeta. She's the #1 female income earner, and she always asks her prospects, if you could change one thing about your health, what would it be? Or if you could change one thing about your life, if she's thinking more business over product, what would it be? She said people are just scared to ask that question because people will tell you what they don't like. People love telling you what they don't like. We just have to ask them. So that might help you with that. But yeah, I loved everybody's shares. I loved what everyone got out of this chapter. This is being recorded, as you guys know. I'm going to add it to the playlist for the GoPro series. As Pen said, we still have some more skills to go. Next week, so next Monday night, is the day after our summit. So we're not going to cover skill number 4 next week. So Sharon, you're off the hook for another week. Because I want to go through with everybody all of the new information. So as you're going through all of the new summit info, you will have questions. I guarantee it. When I first learned about everything, like I had, I think, 15 different questions all at once that I was even confused how to ask them because it was different to what I thought. So you will have questions. So as you're going through the information, jot down your questions. I'm going to go over it in detail next Monday night for our team call. And that'll be more like an open question and answer type session, because I want to make sure everybody understands fully what was launched, and then the game plan of how to actually have these new upgrades work for you, which I'm really, really excited about. So that's what next week's going to be. And then the following week, so 2 weeks from tonight, will be skill number 4, which I believe Sharon is presenting.
Yes.
And that is following up with your prospects. So we've got 2 weeks to get through that chapter. Pen will post the link to listen to that audio of Eric Worre, his speech. And I laughed when you started playing it because I forgot how young he sounded, because I hadn't listened to that part of it in a while, because I mainly read the book instead of listening to the audio. So yeah, that's what I was laughing at. But yeah, awesome call, guys. Thank you all for being on. Let me take a quick photo. So I'm going to tell you all when to smile. For those of you watching the recording, you don't need to smile, just letting you know. All right, we ready? All right, smile. All right, I'll post that in the chat and on our team page. Have an incredible night. Make sure you put time aside for Summit on Sunday. You will thank me later when you hear what it is all about. And we will be back here again next Monday night to go through it all in detail. But if you need me between now and then, let me know, message me. My inbox is always open, and let's make it a great week. Thanks
See you
again,
guys.
Pen.
Bye.
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 Bye.